How's it going? Dr. Jeff. Today's Facebook Live topic is back on board. So the reason I want to talk about this is because a lot of you guys are preparing to come back down to Rythmia. You have the opportunity during this quarantine period and this pandemic to have an opportunity to focus on yourself and hopefully stay healthy and help with your family and help your friends, hopefully in a way that's positive in your community. So you have a lot of opportunities to kind of get ready for your experience at Rythmia. Now, what I've realized lately is that there's a lot of new viewers to this Facebook Live that don't maybe understand my role at Rythmia. So I want to just briefly give you a little background. I'm the Chief Medical Officer at Rythmia. My name is Jeff McNairy. I have a doctorate in psychology and a master's in public health. Got my master's in public health at UCLA. I studied medical anthropology as an undergrad. I've been working in healthcare almost 30 years. I used to run one of the most well-known rehabs in the world in Malibu, California. For about 8 years, I was administrative director. And I had a private practice. I managed all kinds of healthcare facilities, inpatient, outpatient, private practice, tons of healthcare related stuff, medical background, psychology background, public health background. And what I was noticing in healthcare is all the things that I've been taught for 18 years of grad school and undergrad combined, and $250,000 in debt, which is kind of crazy to think about. But what I learned in there is that symptom management is a real big thing in Western medicine, and it's needed for certain situations. So I'm not black and white. Black and white in psychology is a cognitive distortion, which means that it's not an accurate way of thinking, that everything's all good or all bad. I believe that there's gray area and we live in the gray. But what I was noticing with healthcare is that a lot of stuff wasn't really looking at what was causing illness or what was causing mental health issues, what was causing trauma, or how people would deal with trauma, or what was causing addiction. They're just looking at like the symptoms of addiction, which are important for health. And you have to look at, if somebody has an alcohol abuse issue, you have to look at the current situation, right? Possible liver damage, dangerous behavior, all kinds of stuff, right? So of course, symptom management for sure. But that's just the beginning. And you have to look at what's causing this addiction, what's causing this health situation, right? And then so I was becoming more and more frustrated with this whole process. And so when I did plant medicine for the first time, I did it with the CEO of Rythmia. His name's Jerry Powell, and he was one of my clients for about 5.5 years before this. And it completely changed my life, and it helped me see that there's actually a tool that is available in the world to help people. And coming from, this multidisciplinary background in healthcare that I had with public health, psychology, and medicine, and managing healthcare agencies and all this stuff, right? I finally saw that there was this tool that was amazing that could help people. And it's not for everybody. Some people can't do it for health reasons, but for those that can, it's a really beneficial thing to help you get through stuff. And I do a lot of podcasts. I do a lot of interviews. When Jerry bought Rythmia, I moved there immediately to the property. I lived there alone for 2 years, and I worked with the Ministry of Health of Costa Rica, and I was consulting with Jerry, consulting with a team of people from San Jose, Costa Rica, which is the capital city, consulting with our attorneys, and working very closely with the Ministry of Health. And it took about 2 years to get a medical license so that we could provide plant medicine in a really safe way. And so basically, that's what I do. And as a chief medical officer, I manage this license. On the license is my name. And I'm the guy that's responsible for the safety of Rythmia, for the patient well-being at Rythmia, for the staff at Rythmia. And I train everybody, and I work with our medical director, who's a doctor from Costa Rica, and I work with a bunch of nurses and also holistic practitioners and shamans and all kinds of amazing staff. So basically, my role is the science guy. I'm the science guy. I'm the psychology guy. Now, there's a lot of Facebook Lives that Rythmia does with, we got JJ, who does amazing stuff on meditation and intention setting, and just he's like a really powerful dude. Then we have Meg, who's amazing. She's our head chef, but also does a lot of other things at Rythmia. She talks about all kinds of really healthy ways to live. Then we have Kim Terranova, who is an agape practitioner, who also teaches The Answer Is You, which is Michael Beckwith's curriculum. And she does amazing, amazing work, also Facebook Lives. And of course, we have Jerry, who does a variety of Facebook Lives throughout the week. And he's the CEO, the founder, the owner, the head honcho, my man. And so there's a lot of resources for you guys to kind of like get a view on what's going on, and what's happening at Rythmia. My job is very unique in the sense that I maintain the medical license. I maintain the health and safety of what's going on at Rythmia. So I'm not necessarily, even though inside I feel this way, I don't really talk a lot about love and light and this kind of thing, because we have so many of our other staff going that road, and it's very important stuff, but that's just not my thing. My thing is how is effective in mental health? How is plant medicine effective for healthcare? How is it effective for trauma? How is it effective for addiction, right? All these things. Now, what's interesting is that your T cells, your immune system, right? T cells are part of your immune system. They have a serotonin receptor on them that helps act them. Now, the active ingredient in dimethyltryptamine, in ayahuasca, is dimethyltryptamine, which is a molecule that actually looks a lot like serotonin. And what happens is when you ingest ayahuasca, your T cells get activated. And what happens is you have an immune response to reduce inflammation. So people that have chronic illnesses and autoimmune disorders, they often report having much milder symptoms. Now, we don't make medical claims as a facility. That's like a worldwide thing. For a licensed medical place, you can't say, we cure this, we cure that. But what we can say is what our guests are reporting of doing. And what we've seen in the research is that your immune system really gets a boost, and all disease pretty much is related to inflammation. And so you reduce inflammation and you measure inflammation markers before and after, if you can do that, if you want to do that at home. It's a very simple blood test. You measure your inflammation markers before you get to Rythmia. You do the plant medicine for 4 days, and then it's a week-long program, and then you go home and do it again in a couple weeks. You're going to see your inflammation markers are lower, which means your susceptibility to illness and disease has reduced, and that's very powerful. And so people report feeling amazing. Now, people with addictions are very interesting because what they're often seeking is a serotonin surge. And the reason they're seeking this is because that's the rush, and that's what causes like all this sort of neurochemical stuff that goes on. It's what leads to addiction. And so if you can help rebalance the serotonin receptors, and ayahuasca works on 5 key ones, if you can help do this, it will help reduce the physical cravings of the drug. Now, drug and alcohol addiction and behavioral addictions are twofold. There's a neurochemical addiction component and there's a behavioral component. Now, let's say I don't have a neurochemical component. Most of them do. Most people with addictions do. But let's just say I don't. Let's say my neurochemistry is fine, but I just like to use drugs and my neurochemistry is fine. I'm in the habit of doing this. This is a coping mechanism. This helps me avoid my life. This helps me avoid my marriage. This helps me avoid my boss. This helps me take a break. I get used to all these things that it provides me. And then behaviorally, I get used to it. It's like a habit. And then when I want to stop, I feel not comfortable. I feel insecure. I don't know how to relate. I don't know how to relax on my own. I have insomnia as a result. All this kind of stuff spirals. And so what happens with the plant medicine is you ingest it. You go through the process of what we're doing at night, 4 nights a week. And you get to see why it is that you are not empowered in the sense to make these sort of life events and life transitions and life things happening without drugs. You get to see. You say, oh, well, that makes sense. Like my parents did this, or I was treated a certain way, or this is how I feel about myself. That's why I do this, right? You get to see all this stuff. You basically have what's called a dissociative experience where you step back away from yourself and you can look at yourself and you can analyze yourself. Now, isn't it easier to always give advice to somebody else? You can see clearly what's wrong with somebody, right? Your friends or your coworkers, your family members. They go, why am I doing this? You're like, well, the reason is because you're upset at your wife and you're taking that on your kids, and then your boss is a jerk and da-da-da, right? It's easy to see when you're looking at somebody else, right? But never for yourself. It's always hard. Okay, that's because you're in your own life, you're in your own process, you're in your own experience. So what happens with plant medicine is you step out of yourself and you get to analyze yourself, just like you would be giving advice to somebody else. You get to do this for yourself. That's why it's so empowering. And that's what this plant medicine does. And that's why it's highly recommended for everybody that's medically appropriate to do so, emotionally and mentally prepared. And if you're not sure about what that all means, you just call our 800 number, which is on our website, and you talk to one of our representatives, and they go through a long list of stuff, have you read some documents, and then they'll send Dr. Arturo, who's our medical director, they'll send him some medical stuff to go over if that's necessary, right? So back on board means you guys have taken advantage of this time, even though it's a rough time, it's a scary time, it's a weird time. Doesn't have to be that way completely. I think it is for everybody because we're worried about other people and we're worried about ourselves. So there's a little bit of apprehension in there, but we can turn that into a positive and have it be a healing for everybody. So this opportunity you guys have is a time to regroup, do the dieta, and look up, call our representative, see what the dieta is, get Jerry's book, and Shit the Moon Said is what it's called, and watch a bunch of these Facebook Lives. They're recorded, they're stored on our webpage, and also on our Facebook page. Go to our website, check it out. Go to YouTube, look up Dr. Jeff Rythmia. I got 1 million videos up there. They're all 10 minutes or so. I talk about all different topics. And I'm talking about psychology stuff, and I'm talking about medical stuff, and I'm talking about things that, in the West we deal with, but oftentimes we don't have a solution for. So I'm giving you guys a path, right, to kind of understand what's happening and to use plant medicine and Rythmia as an opportunity for you. So I look forward to seeing you guys. When you get back down to Costa Rica, as soon as all this travel bans are lifted and all this madness, hopefully everybody's staying safe. It's going to go the right way. We're confident that everything will be smooth eventually. And so do your part. Be safe. Pura vida. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Dr. Jeff. See you next Monday. Pura vida.